All right, last panel of the day. Today we're talking about the V word, virality. In today's social media-driven landscape, a single viral moment can turn an under-the-radar product into a household name overnight. TikTok has become the epicenter of product discovery, driving shopping behavior across the entire beauty retail ecosystem. But what happens after the spike? How can brands leverage the success of a hero SKU to broaden their product range and attract the attention of retailers? On the flip side, for retailers, a brand with a strong assortment of multiple SKUs signals that the company is more than a one-hit wonder and can continue to innovate and attract new customers. While virality can launch a brand, it can't sustain it. Today, we'll explore how brands can translate flash-in-the-pan attention into durable brand equity, retention, and cross-platform growth. So let's begin the conversation with Ajay to talk about TikTok Shop's meteoric rise in the beauty retail landscape. So Ajay, you were here at BeautyMatter Next in LA 2 years ago when TikTok Shop first launched in the US. Today, TikTok Shop is the fastest growing retailer according to Nielsen IQ. So what do you attribute that rapid growth to, and why are beauty products so successful on the platform?
Firstly, it's great to be back. It's always great to be at a Beauty Matters event. I think the main thing driving the explosive growth of TikTok Shop in any category is that it is fantastic for discovery. That's what it does really, really well. And particularly in the beauty industry, discovery is what drives that flywheel. TikTok Shop being discovery commerce is based on a very simple insight. It's that most e-commerce shopping journeys are a bit too linear. You know what you want, you search for what you want, it arrives in a day or two. It's great if you know what you're looking for, but it's not so good for discovery and newness. And that's what TikTok Shop is fantastic for. And that dovetails very nicely with what drives the beauty category as a whole. So what are the main things driving the explosive growth? One, it's a huge step up in the number of brands we work with thousands of brands in the beauty industry to teach them creator commerce, content commerce, and their shops are scaling rapidly. The beauty business at TikTok Shop is growing 120% year over year, and we've just entered year 3, and that's due to how many brands are partnering with us. We're also growing the user base. So there are over 170 million monthly active unique TikTok users, and more of them are becoming shoppers. And there's a generation of shoppers whose shopping habits are still just being formed. And you think of TikTok and TikTok Shop as a scrolling, it's a sort of video consumption app, which it is. But turns out 3 in 4 TikTok users frequently use the search function. 1 in 4 TikTok users uses the search bar in the first 30 seconds. And so more and more people are coming to TikTok to look for products and discover brands. And then finally, just a huge growth in creators, which is what actually drives the flywheel. So it's more brands, more creators, more users. And then I think what makes beauty in particular very sticky is that it's a very contentable category. Contentability is what we use to describe how effective, compelling content is at driving the purchase decision. And you can have categories like books, very contentable, or fashion. You can have industrial chemicals, perhaps not that contentable. And on that spectrum, I think makeup, skincare, fragrance are pretty much at the top end of that contentability spectrum.
Yeah. And let's get into, let's hear from 2 of TikTok's top beauty brands. We'll start with you, Erin. Erin, the Beachwaver Co. got its start in 2012, selling on QVC. The brand is one of the first breakthrough brands on TikTok Shop, selling more than 1 million units in its first year and ranks among the top 1% of all TikTok Shop merchants. So how did your experience with QVC help prepare the brand to dominate on a social-first platform like TikTok?
So for us, launching on QVC was really an education and how to live sell, how to get your point across. And on QVC, you've got 8-minute segment, you've got a 10-minute segment. So you really got to hit. You got to know your talking points. You got to rehearse. Every little thing has to maximize audience participation, audience education, also while entertaining. So for us, it was really a masterclass in figuring out how to get our point across, how to convey what our product was, how to convey who the brand was, and it really helped us tighten everything up. And in addition, it really forced us to look at metrics. So every single second, we looked at when did the audience spike, when did the sales spike, when did the call spike, when did people drop off? And we've taken that into our live selling throughout so many different things, and then now on TikTok, but looking to see what really drives the audience participation, what drives sales, what drives conversions. So we're super metric driven at Beachwaver, and we are really intense about what we do and learning to drive a lot of value to our customers. We really see it as like an opportunity to learn from the metrics and drive value. So for us, QVC was a great learning lesson, and like hitting those talking points and then transitioning into TikTok really opened up the platforms. Now we had more time, we had more space, we had an opportunity to really dive in, to really start, okay, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about we have a patented product. What is a patent? What does that mean? How does that differentiate in the marketplace? And let's talk through the benefits of this. What is ceramic versus titanium? So for us, it really opened up this opportunity, but it did start from being very deliberate with what we said and how we talked.
And it's more interactive too, right?
Exactly.
Than QVC.
Huge, hugely interactive. So with QVC, it's a phone call. It's very old school. Yeah. And with TikTok, we really built this wonderful, lovely community. What I always say about our community is it's this like positive little corner of the internet. We try to be really positive, really supportive, really kind to our people, and really listen to them so they interact. We know so much about them. Sarah, my sister and co-founder, she knows all about all the people, what they do. We talk about their animals, their kids. It's really become this beautiful community, and so interactive, and honestly, so much fun.
And translates, obviously, into sales and yeah, a lot of brand loyalty, too.
It does, yes.
So, Michael, over to you. Wonderskin is best known for its viral blue peel-off lip stain mask, a product that has achieved repeated viral success on TikTok. It's huge. How did Wonderskin build on the momentum to fuel the building of a brand and ultimately expand into Sephora, which you did recently?
Well, I think the groundwork was, of course, laid much earlier on in the product design itself. It's something that visually is very attractive and appealing, which of course also carried USPs as far as people loving it and loving to buy it again and again. So that is a non-negotiable. I think when you're choosing a product, you still have to find something of substance that you're proud to offer to people. Then you convey the word of mouth, which both on TikTok and on other social platforms unnamed, there is the word of mouth matters, the recommendation, the level of engagement matters, and I think what we have done is not solely rely on the viral nature of the product, but almost narrate the virality with a heavily amplified and a traditional marketing budget behind it. But rather than like running more branded, polished adverts, you just lean into incredible creator content and allow the algorithm to decide the direction. So how it lands in retail is quite simple, where the rules of engagement, although they've been leaning more and more into the digital world, they still haven't changed. And more than, I think, 75 or 80% of all new purchases still take place at a brick and mortar environment, especially in color cosmetics where we're at. And so for us, it was crucial, it was actually critical to eventually wind up in the right brick and mortar partner that complements the digital presence we created. And when we were truly ready, we pushed the buttons. And we're working with Sephora here in the US, we're working with Boots and Selfridges, and soon Sephora in the UK, and a few other retailers around. And because we waited quite a while, I think this is where it was exciting, that the sell-through was immediately very strong, and the initial results were exactly what, they were in fact surprising rather than expected.
Yeah. And Ajay, you mentioned this briefly, but I'd love for you to tell the audience more about the TikTok Shop ecosystem and how it connects sellers, creators, shoppers, brands, all of that?
Yeah. So TikTok is a content-driven entertainment app, and I think we know it's an uncanny ability for compelling content to find its way to you. TikTok Shop borrows from that, and what we try to engineer is this uncanny outcome where compelling, shoppable content finds its way to you. And so how that happens is the team partners with brands, such as theirs, to identify what types of products have the most potential for virality. And this has a lot to do with which products are really interesting to creators. And creators, they're not businesses, they're people. In fact, they're your users. In fact, they're your best users and consumers. And so it's really important to identify products that have some sort of attachment with creators. And then we recommend which creators to partner with. And so brands partner with, and when we say creators, these aren't traditional influencers. The success of a creator isn't really correlated with follower count. Traditionally, these might be known as nano creators, micro creators, but really in the shoppable content world, these are the creators that brands want to partner with. And so we advise brands how to partner with creators. Brands target certain creators and then send them samples from which creators either make shoppable video or live streams. In addition, brands can also choose to go live or do their own short videos. So Beachwaver is a fantastic example of self-live, and they have this packing show that's been going on for a few years that does really, really well. And so that's what makes the flywheel spin. Interesting products coupled with sampling to really well-targeted creators that creates a quantity of content from which really high-quality content bubbles to the top. And then what we do is guide brands on how can you engineer that sort of virality month after month after month, and on hero product after hero product after hero product. And that's what builds the flywheel that spins. And I think the most important insight really is that your creator is your number one customer. And so if you obsess over the creator and getting your product in the right hands of the creator, that's what spins the flywheel.
Yeah, and we'll get into engineering virality in a bit. But Erin, I want to go back to you with Beachwaver. Beachwaver launched in Ulta, Target, and Nordstrom back in 2012, and then exited brick and mortar in 2016 to focus on D2C and social. And last year, you re-entered Target and now Walmart. So what convinced you it was the right time to go back into stores? And more broadly, what does it take for a TikTok native brand to succeed at a brick and mortar environment?
Well, for us, we really wanted to focus on our community. We wanted to build our brand. We want to be more than a commodity. We have a patented product, which we're incredibly proud of. And so for us, we felt like now was the time to go back into retail. We now have a full line of hair care. So building on this wonderful community that we've built, a lot of which through TikTok, very supportive, wonderful people looking for where can we purchase product. I want to be able to walk into a store. I want to support, right? And for us, Target was a great fit for that, so we decided to go back into Target now that we've got this great community looking for more opportunity to purchase, more opportunity to support. And I think the opportunity that we have online with TikTok merging into retail brick and mortar is this opportunity to educate. It's this opportunity for people to come to our live. They see our team as trusted sources. They've gotten to know us. We've talked to them through a lot of different things. But now we have the opportunity to educate as well as entertain them. So we're educating them, talking about the different products, talking about answering any questions they have, which we can do in real time. And I think that's really helped bridge the gap between the online and in-person. I do think that there is a really great pipeline between the two.
Yeah, definitely. And then Michael, for you, as a TikTok native brand selling on TikTok Shop and also Amazon, how do those two channels work together for Wonderskin?
Well, to follow on the previous point, the customer journey is very different today than it was 2 years ago, and then it was 5 years ago, and certainly 10 years ago. And the journey absolutely includes an assessment and potentially a research piece into the place where they're used to shopping, which for all of us, I would say there's probably 95% Prime memberships in this room, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. So we embraced it, and for us, the the halo effect that is directly correlatable between TikTok impressions and Amazon is absolutely real. And even when TikTok impressions turned into TikTok sales vis-a-vis the TikTok shop, the level of halo effect into Amazon did not decrease. That's the beauty of it. You didn't lose Amazon customers to TikTok shop. You just gained TikTok customers and continued building the Amazon customers and continued building, our own D2C front. And it is sort of this flywheel that you create. You allow people to purchase and to embrace the brand either fully within your ecosystem or on the platform that they're on right now, and where their impulse and desire and the ability to hit a single button to buy is where they choose to purchase. And we love it either way.
Yeah, that's an important point too. And then Ajay, back to you. For emerging brands, TikTok Shop can feel daunting. It's video, it's lives, things like that. What advice would you give an emerging brand that wants to launch on TikTok Shop, and how involved is TikTok Shop in supporting and onboarding these new brands?
Yeah. So the really interesting thing about TikTok Shop as a platform is that a brand's success has much more to do with how creative that brand team is, how agile they are in partnering with creators and testing and learning, how frequently they innovate. There's much more correlation with mindset and behavior than there is with size of budget or size of brand. Because at the end of the day, it is about innovative, differentiated products. And these are fantastic examples of brands with differentiated, innovative products partnering with creators. And so the first piece of advice is to remember that it is about the extent of your creativity and how nimble you are that determines success. Small brands, they tend to be able to innovate faster. So treating TikTok Shop as an extension of direct-to-consumer is a mindset that tends to work really well, which means engaging with comments on short videos and lives, taking that feedback back into the product pipeline and innovation to come up with new innovations or different packs, different formats. Small, agile brands tend to do that better, and so we encourage that. Also, partnering with a ton of creators without holding back until you realize what type of content works for your brand and also for your brand image. What's great for sales, but also great for earned media value, and then doubling down on that. So we encourage emerging brands to experiment with that as much as possible. We would also recommend not running out of stock, which is it's a real Achilles heel for small brands, because when that virality moment hits, you realize, we're back ordered for 6 or 8 weeks, right? And so staying ahead of that and being really tuned into those signals. We have a very aggressive onboarding program for new brands because there is so much demand for something that's new and interesting and that isn't in broad distribution. And so we have incubation programs that partner small brands or new brands with creators to create that corpus of content that gets the flywheel spinning. And then teaching you how to use ad solutions to amplify content that works. But really the key thing is sampling creators and then amplification with advertising.
Let's get into a bit of the out-of-stock problem. You, Erin, Michael, are no stranger to going viral and kind of the pitfalls of that. Virality can change your business's week, but implementing the right systems at the right time can change your brand's future. So we've all seen products take off on TikTok only to fade when the inventory can't keep up with demand. So when this happens and when a brand recovers, they may be tempted to chase the short-term gains of virality instead of building the engine that actually powers the brand long-term. So with that in mind, can you engineer virality? Do you think brands can engineer virality, or only engineer for it? And what does that look like in practice for your brands? Erin, I'll start with you.
I think it's an excellent question, and I think with any brand success, I think there's an element of art and an element of science to it. We've gone viral in a couple different capacities prior to TikTok, one of which was very early on in 2012. The Today Show put us on, and we literally broke the website. So I know what it's like to not be operationally prepared for this. So as we've moved forward throughout the course of our company, and as we were prepping for TikTok, we were one of the very early adopters on TikTok, and it was a really exciting, fun time because it was so new for both TikTok and for us. And I remember staying up all night with the team to work on the integrations because we had to integrate from our site in an integrator to TikTok and back and forth. And we made spreadsheets to upload all the tracking. I mean, it was a wild time. It was such a blast. It was so much fun. But it was the key to success was operational. And right before we were going to do a huge, like 24-hour live, like at Fashion Week to launch something, our integrator broke, and so it was up all night. So the key, I think, to preparing for virality, right, is like having a great product, having a compelling content and a compelling offer for someone, but then also being prepared on the back end. So ensuring that you've got your system set up, you've got your customer service on standby, you know the rules and the regulations of TikTok. I mean, I think we, used to, on a daily basis, just have so many back and forth with them. But the key is, I think, open communication, is prepping all of your operations on the back end. So I do think that you can engineer virality by being prepared for it and by noticing trends and looking at historical data, what's worked for your own brand, for other brands. But then, even if it's orchestrated perfectly, you've got everything set up, it may or may not work. But I think it's always better to be prepped, have everything ready to go, have everything lined up, and have it not go well, than have it go well and miss that opportunity and then ruin all the brand integrity that you've been put out there. So in my mind, the key to success is really ensuring that operational setup is nice and tight.
Yeah, and Michael, what about you? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I would echo everything Erin said. The supply chain and operational execution they're non-negotiable, and it's not an afterthought in any way. The first question you asked, can you engineer virality in itself? Probably not, because then everybody would just be, flying with billions of views. That's not how it works. I think you can engineer for virality and create guardrails that create a more likely outcome. And then, what Ajay said is the platforms and the visibility on these platforms is often a pay for play. And when you reach a great return or a great momentum on a series of content or a product or a combination of product, content, and offer, you can then use the dials afforded to you by technology and with purely money, because you can buy ads and amplify things to then accelerate, given you don't break your systems, you don't break your tracking and many other things, because these are new platforms. Imagine we're talking about TikTok Shop really did not exist 2.5 years ago. It's not like a joke, and now they're processing, probably like a million orders a day, if not more. And it's insane that, yes, things can, you have to, there's a learning curve. There is an execution curve, but being prepared, being savvy, and being hands-on, I think, is the other element, I would say. If you are the operator, the founder, the leader, the CEO, you have to be very close to the source and not just allow third parties to kind of look after it for you. Because when things break, they'll come to you, they won't come to the third party.
That's a great point. And then you mentioned just kind of how quickly TikTok has taken over, our whole industry, really. TikTok Shop has become a serious player in beauty retail in the last 2.5 years. Nielsen IQ now ranks it among the top 6 US health and beauty e-commerce retailers. And TikTok leads the field in converting users into buyers. So in your view, Ajay, what is TikTok Shop's role in the beauty retail landscape?
Yeah, I think it's a multi-role sort of outlook. The first is, it is perhaps the fastest way to build a brand while also building sales. And what we used to tell brands is, when you partner with creators to create content, you may or may not get the sale on TikTok Shop, but you will certainly get the conversation. And that conversation will drive awareness and visits offline, online. And so it's a concept of EMV, earned media value, and GMV together. So its role is to help build brands while you build sales. Number two, the halo effect that Michael talked about. We joke about it and phrase it as, what happens on TikTok Shop doesn't just stay on TikTok Shop. And that is by design. That is very much intentional. with the thousands of brands we've partnered with over the 2.5 years, pretty much every brand has had some moment where they come back and say, this video went viral on TikTok, and now I can't keep in stock on retailer A, DTC site B, offline, online, doesn't matter. And so that enabling brands to have that halo effect month after month, that is one of the roles. Another role is just discovery and supporting new launches. Increasingly, more and more brands are turning to TikTok Shop as a lead-in for a new innovation launch because it builds hype and sense of urgency, and then the brand innovation lands even better offline because there is a certain awareness and there's a demand that you've created. And I think the final thing is, to a certain extent, I think we're also expanding the category or are democratizing access to the category. A classic example of this is fragrance. 2 years ago, we had no fragrance business, and in fact, we were really surprised that when fragrance started showing green shoots, turns out that fragrance is all about storytelling. And live and short video is fantastic for storytelling. And I bring this up because in September, 60% of the content viewers for fragrance were men. And that's atypical in this category. It is an underserved segment. Men generally aren't interested in participating in that category. But we're really surprised that it's bringing users into categories, whether it's sunscreens or Korean beauty or fragrance. And to some extent, we're expanding what is possible for these brands, and that's really great to see. You talked about the role of TikTok Shop and what it means for emerging brands. Today, I think names like Medicube or Anua or Beauty of Joseon are very ubiquitous. But a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, these were unknown emerging brands that figured out this is an extension of DTC. This is how you build a brand and build sales and engineer this halo effect. And we love playing that role.
I love that. I could sit and talk to you guys for hours, but unfortunately we have cocktails to get to, so we have time for a couple of quick questions. If you have a question for Ajay, Erin, or Michael, just raise your hand, and we will try to get a mic to you. I see one over here. Yep.
Hi. My question is for Ajay. So in TikTok Shop, there's a lot of discounting and bundling, and how would you recommend a brand is successful in TikTok Shop if they're sold in other retailers and channels where they can't really be undercutting price in that way, especially in the beauty space?
Yeah. So the philosophy we have is to partner a brand for long-term success. And we know, personally having been on the brand side and platform side even before this, that a brand has to manage things in a multi-channel way. When a brand goes multi-channel, that is when they scale and are truly successful. And so the advice we give brands is do what's on brand, on image, that helps you balance across channels, but keep the creator number one in your mind. So what we advise brands to do is find a way to differentiate. That doesn't always have to be through price, particularly if it damages pricing equity, brand equity, or creates channel conflict. And so brands have been very creative, whether it is coming up with new innovations or packs or formats that differentiate by channel, or using creator commissions or creator partnerships to create demand rather than end user promotions, or very cleverly using gift with purchase or limited in and out launches. So there are other ways you can create buzz and uptick that aren't discount driven, and we encourage that. Anything that produces compelling content, that's what you want. Discount is just one way to do it, and it's not for every brand.
We have time for one more question, 1 minute. I see you first. Microphone for her.
Yes, as an indie brand, if we need help getting our brand on TikTok Shop, do you know of companies that do that?
So is this a question about agency support or onboarding support?
Either way, just to get our products on TikTok Shop, either agency support or someone who we can contact to help us get our brand on TikTok Shop.
Sure. So setting up a shop on TikTok Shop is self-service. It's not invite only. It's an open third-party marketplace. But we have category teams that partner with brands in which we see potential to advise them how to scale up their shop, because the shop is yours. It's a brand P&L. It's a third-party marketplace, right? And we have an ever-growing ecosystem of what we call TSPs, or TikTok Shop partners. And beauty is actually a category that has the most number of partners, and they provide services from basic shop management to creator management, creator retention, sample seeding, distribution, or even logistics. So we can certainly talk about this. And in fact, if you go to the TikTok app and just search for TSP, it gives you a list of these providers that can support a brand's journey.
Thank you.
One more. I see 1 minute on the clock, so we can squeeze in one more over here.
Thank you guys for a great presentation. My question is about dupes and dupe culture. How do you guys, with these really iconic, amazing products that you're doing, when that happens, because I feel like the algorithm can sometimes give that to the people, how do you fight that? Or how do you communicate your product's value when that happens without being too negative and coming across in a bad way to your customers?
I'm happy to take a first chance to answer, because we have faced this head on and attacked it in a very, very aggressive way. And to clarify, we have faced both counterfeiting and dupes. And there's a very, very thin but a rather clear line where something is a look-alike that mimics the product, but that has its rights to exist at a much lower price point. And you cannot escape that. When you have something popular and exciting, you will get inspired by, other people will be inspired by you, sorry. But we draw a very hard stance on anything that is a counterfeit, or that is a trade dress, or a violation of our design, or attempts to fool the person into thinking they're buying our product. And we have a team that is dedicated to shutting these people down and filing complaints, whether within the platforms or on Shopify. And we have to, as a brand, unfortunately, you have to be proactive, because the platform is rarely able to enforce it on your behalf unless they are informed. And we submit probably 20 different complaints a day. Like it's a problem on eBay, I think on Amazon, sometimes on TikTok, and there's copycat sites that pop up. So I think once you have something that's popular, you have to accept that you are going to need to enforce and have a whole system in place to do so.
Yeah. Anything to add, Erin, quickly, on that, or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's a heartbreaker, I mean, we do the same with all the legal protections, but it's really brutal, and I think it really speaks to like a larger macro issue in the world, right? And I would wish that people out in the world would understand the effort and the time and the consideration and the innovation that it takes to bring something new to the market, and not just chasing what's the cheapest thing that looks similar to this. So for us, I mean, it is like brutal. It is a heartbreaker. I mean, my sister Sarah invented our Beachwaver. We have multiple patents on it, and all day, every time I open anything, it's just knockoff after knockoff after knockoff. And unfortunately, consumers need to make a little bit more effort to maybe realize that we do have to pay up a little bit, and we're paying up for independent brands, we're paying up for innovation, and I think not the illusion of choice, but actual choice. So, I mean, I could speak on this all day because I think it's a larger problem. So thank you for bringing it up, because I think a lot of people just think dupe is the same, but dupe is really just like, just destroying the entire idea of innovation and branding, right? So thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate that, and I hope that everybody does a little bit of research to look for the independent brands who are bringing innovation to the market.
Yeah, super important. Well, that's all of our time today. Thank you guys so much for being here with me.
Thank you.